It's a quiet Sunday. We've got the SUR RON loaded on the dyno. I've got the BAC 8000 all tuned up. I'm ready to see what the difference is on the dyno. I'm not expecting power up top so much, but I am expecting some gains down low. We had the BAC 4000 on it before, which is going on a Rudnick's bike. It's actually over here. Rudnick had a problem. One of his components that was down here got soaked and wet and took it out. It's a power converter thing. So anyway, we're fixing that. The 4000 is there. The 8000 now we've installed on here. So we're going to be testing this. This is the ERT ASI BAC 8000. And also I put this headlight on. Looks a little bit better, I think. And it puts out a lot more light. So pretty sweet upgrade, pretty cheap. As you guys know, we did 85.8 miles per hour GPS. Probably had a little bit more in it, but you know, I'm not gonna push it any further. I think that was a max effort pull as far as I'm concerned. And I'm really happy with the speed. I'm not really worried about the speed so much anymore, but I do want to see how this controller stacks up against the 4000, because the 4000 has a phase amp max somewhere around 460 phase amps, 450 phase amps. So this thing is way beyond that. This thing could go 700 phase amps, but we're going to be putting out around 550 to 570 phase amps right now as it sits with this setup. So the NXT display records that, so we'll be able to go back and see what it did hit. But for those of you who are new to this channel or new to this setup, this is a 2019 SUR RON Light B X, and we've got a host of upgrades on it that I think complement the bike and make it just that much better. We've got the belt drive to make it really quiet, as you can see there. We've got the Supermoto wheels, super smooth on the road, gives you real stable handling, and they're speed rated to 112 miles per hour. Upgraded the front brake. This is a Hope 225 millimeter, and we're running the factory's 4-pot calipers, front and rear, with Shimano HO3A brake pads. So far, this has been a pretty good setup. It hasn't caused me any problems. Because of the speed that we're running, though, I am going to be upgrading to a twin disc front, so we'll be running 2 of those 225s up front, and I'm gonna settle for a set of Tektro 2-piston calipers, which I don't think we need any more clamping force. This is plenty. This thing does an endo if I want to. So the idea here is to just distribute that load across 2 separate calipers, 2 separate rotors, to dissipate more heat and make it more stable under road conditions. So we should reduce the fade significantly for racers or someone who's going to utilize those speeds a lot more. But we're going to do that upgrade later down the road. But today, the main focus here is this setup, BAC 8000. We're also running the Lightspeed 72-volt battery. Take a peek here real quick. So there's the 72-volt Lightspeed battery. This thing is awesome. It's got a nice little screen on top here so you can monitor your voltage percentages. You can see we're at 99%. So it's a drop-in thing. You can see it fits right in the stock location with the stock lid. And you can just put the lid down, no problem. So it fits in there just like the stock battery, so to speak. You can also still see the display through here, no problem. So just a nice, well-rounded unit. The combination with this BAC 8000 and this battery, though, is crazy. I mean, the acceleration is insane. We were able to do 0 to 60s under 6 seconds, 0 to 30s under 2 seconds, so 1.9 seconds or something like that. And a top speed of 85, like I said, 85.8, so 86 miles per hour. Really, really potent setup. So now let's run it up, see what kind of power she makes. I love running this thing on the dyno just because it's so quiet. I don't have to put on ear protection. It doesn't get fumes. There's no smoke. It's really, really easy, really clean. and just straightforward. So let's go ahead, make a run. Make sure that we're in sport mode, which we are. Okay, here we go. Regen is braking right now. All of the braking is being done on the Regen. You can see it down here. So I'm not touching the brake. Really cool feature. It's about to release the Regen here. Right there, it released. So it did all the slowing by itself. I didn't even have to touch the brakes. That's a really good function of this controller, being able to just slow the bike down without having to use the mechanical brakes. Pretty cool. All right, so here's the power. Very nice. 24 horsepower. So peaked out around 24 horsepower, and it held all the way past 80 miles per hour. We were still making over 20 horsepower, so 21 horsepower. Really, really good. This is a drastic improvement over the 4000, honestly. I'm gonna pull up the 4000 map so that we can compare. Here's the two on top of each other. You can see the peak for the 4000, which is on the bottom here, around 23.7. So not a huge gain in power, 24 horsepower. Not overall power is about the same, but down low, let's look at the speeds. Let's say, let's see, this is 20 miles per hour. We didn't even start at 20 miles per hour on this thing, I don't think. No. Let's go to 30 miles per hour. 30 miles per hour, it was 17.2 horsepower, while now 30 miles per hour, let's go. Somewhere around 21 horsepower for 30 miles per hour. So you can see that's a pretty solid change down low, especially. So about 4 horsepower down low. About 3 horsepower, we'll call it 3 horsepower down low. And then in the top end, where the controller would start to kind of wane off before, by 70 miles per hour, we were at 18 horsepower. Now at 70 miles per hour, we're still at 21 horsepower. So that's a good gain too. So 4 horsepower on both sides of the graph. Big gain. And then up top here even, I'm still holding 21 horsepower at 81 miles an hour. That's good. And it could have just kept on going. So the BAC 8000 is definitely a superior unit, in my opinion, delivering power. I mean, this thing's not even, it's still room temperature. It didn't even change temperature. Not that it should in like one little pull, but the motor as well still feels about ambient. Doesn't even have any heat in it. Let's look and see what the specs say for that run. This thing is able to show us current. We hit 264 amps with 570 phase amps. So you can tell that's a pretty big amount of power to go through here. But it is a rocket ship. It's the best way to describe it. So we've got a much flatter power curve all the way across versus the 4000, which had a kind of a rounded power curve. And I think that's because it wasn't able to deliver the phase amps down low, and then it wasn't able to keep up the current up top. So overall, that's a definite improvement. The other good thing about the 8000 that I like is that the 8000 is going to be able to handle more heat and handle more abuse over a longer period of time. So if you're racing, you're doing like motocross or a lot of woods riding or anything like that, that's going to be a superior unit. For on-road riding, maybe not so much, because you're always going to be sitting at mostly consistent speeds. So for the on-road guys, a 4000 is probably okay. I wouldn't worry about it. And especially if you keep the current down. We also have the power setting on this is around 17 kilowatts. So that's with a 17 kilowatt setting. The 4000 was not able to maintain that, just out of just some facts for you. But the 8000 is, and the 8000 didn't even break a sweat getting there. So definitely a better unit. If you've got a SUR RON and you're contemplating the 4000 versus the 8000, I would go with the 8000 based on that information alone, especially considering the fit is almost like a stock unit. You can see it fits right nicely right against that skid plate, really flush all the way up, and then bolts right to the factory location on the top. So really happy with that. If you have one of these, you have any questions, let me know. The system from ERT comes with the screen. It's a really cool unit. It gives you all of your information on screen. You can switch modes still, so you can see it is Eco and Sport. So you can change between those modes. For Eco mode, I have it set at 5,000, and it does 60, 62 miles per hour like that. And then on the big mode is all the power. So there you go. Dyno run complete. Really happy with that. I don't think we're really gonna go too much more power-wise. I really like where it's at. This is the goal for the bike. I think with aero, this thing would do 100 miles per hour for sure, considering that I was approaching 90 miles per hour even with no aero. So just a really fast bike for what it is size-wise. You can tell by looking at it's like a 125 size bike, but it's got 250 power, 250 size bike power, 250 size bike accelerations, and even more speed than the 250s. I don't see any 250s out there going, 90 miles an hour. So hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments or send me an email. Check out eBikezilla.com. We've got a lot of parts on there that are coming in. We've been working really hard to get our orders fulfilled, and they're on the way. So we're expecting bikes on the ground in April. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait. And let us know if we can do anything for you. Love this bike.